I the jerk for making my sibling catch the bus home alone at night? My, female 24 years old, younger sister, female 17 years old, recently got a job, which has been great for her. She gets to learn some responsibility, build a resume, and make a bit of cash, things I wish I had done at 17. We live with our parents and other siblings in a decent home. My parents are not extremely wealthy, but they have never struggled financially. I work a full-time job and am saving to move out soon. I am very lucky to be in the position I am in where I can save. Even though I do not have to pay rent, I offered, I do try to help out where I can. Now to the story. My sister has a shift that finishes at 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday. Normally my dad would pick her up from these kinds of shifts, but on this night, he and my mom were at a concert and were unable to. My other sister, female 20 years old, with a driver's license was working late and could not pick her up either. My sister, who needs a ride, is still a learner driver and cannot drive without a supervisor for another month or so. Not that we have a car she could use anyway. That leaves me. I work during the day, so I am technically free in the evenings, but I really avoid doing anything after work on a weeknight. I have an extremely limited social battery and mild but chronic pain that is at its worst at night. I am always exhausted after working all day and need to be well rested for the next early morning. Knowing I rarely get a good night's sleep, I have to go to bed pretty early, usually around 8:30 p.m. Because of this, and the fact it has been a bit of a bad week pain-wise, I said that I would not be picking my sister up from work. If it were a Friday or Saturday night, I would have said yes as I can sleep in the next morning, but I really do not want to be sacrificing my well-being when I need to be at work the next morning. This means my sister will have to catch the bus home by herself. This is something I had done dozens of times at her age, and we live in a very safe area in a safe country, so it is about as safe as being out alone after dark can be. There will always be some risk to being outside alone after dark, and I think my sister is a little scared. It would be her first time. My parents are not mad at me, but my sister is annoyed that she has to catch the bus by herself after dark. Am I the asshole? There are definitely other solutions like Uber or a taxi if no one else is available. This situation doesn't really involve you. It's your parents' decision not to pick her up as usual. Plus, 8:30 p.m. isn't even that late. At 17, she's old enough to handle navigating the world on her own. Am I the jerk for telling my child's grandparents to stop giving them arm floaties and goggles in the pool? I agree that saying no goggles is definitely excessive. I am honestly more set on no floaties. Both her grandparents and swim instructor have chlorine-free pools. The goggles were a slight issue for me because her instructor discourages them for children learning to swim so that they are not afraid to open their eyes in water and see where they are going. This class stresses safety, not competitive sports. My 24-year-old female daughter, who is 4 years old, goes to her grandparents' house every day that she is with her father so they can watch her while her father works. They put arm floaties and goggles on her when she gets in the pool and watch her from outside the pool. I told them to stop putting them on her because she is in swim classes. It causes delays and regressions in her skills and makes her swim with unnatural skills. They told me it is safer and they feel more comfortable having her in the pool that way. I told them I take her to swim class every week and see her regressing and struggling to be comfortable in the pool without floaties or goggles, even though she is normally a very strong swimmer for her age. Her swimming instructor also agreed that using these can cause a regression in her swimming skills. They said they do not get in the pool and reiterated they feel more comfortable when she has these things with her. I said they should be in the pool with her regardless, and either they can do that, or I would prefer her not to be in their pool unless she can be free in the pool with no goggles or floaties. She will have to wait until I or her father can be in the pool with her. They said I am being unreasonable and that they will put her in the pool. They said I am being unfair and they are just trying to be safe. I said they are going to cause safety issues in the long run if she finds herself in a position where she falls in a pool or something similar and cannot get herself out because her skills have regressed. They are calling me overdramatic, and her father is getting mad at me as well. Am I the asshole? Corrected my first sentence that says she goes there to babysit lol. Not really the asshole. Floaties are terrible for kids and can put them in an unsafe situation. Her grandparents might be hard to convince, so either don't send your daughter over there without supervision or don't let them use the floaties. It's frustrating because some people just won't listen to reason. Am I the jerk for confirming then canceling my attendance for my friend's party and then calling them a gaslighter? So my best friend Marisa, who is a 29-year-old female, was planning a belated birthday party for my friend Theo, who is a 26-year-old male. This was an out-of-town party at a camping site. She sent out the invites 2 months in advance because she needed to book the space and tents as soon as possible. She said there was an option to drive in for the day, with no reservation needed. I did not really want to participate in the camping, but I agreed to come in for the day. I do not drive, but 2 of our mutual friends had vehicles and also said yes to just coming for the day, so I figured I would coordinate with one of them closer to the date. A couple of weeks before the party, I found out my father wanted to celebrate his birthday on the same date. It was actually the weekend of his birthday, whereas for Theo, it was over a month after. My family birthdays are typically planned no earlier than 2 weeks ahead, so there was no way of knowing 2 months prior. There are some health issues in my family. I have a cousin who is terminally ill with cancer, and my dad himself has chronic health issues, so obviously, I am prioritizing my family at any given moment. Marisa is aware of everything that has been going on. I wrote in our group chat that I could no longer make it, apologized, and briefly explained why. On top of that, the 2 friends who drove also canceled for their own personal reasons. Even if my family party was not an issue, I would have no way of getting there. Marisa kept probing me and asking why I could not come, even though I had already explained. I elaborated in more detail. Then she went on a rant saying how it really sucks when people cancel and how she made this party 2 months in advance. I was becoming really frustrated because I felt she was acting really unempathetically to my family's situation and only thinking of herself. Since I was not camping, my attendance or lack of had no effect on the reservation or money spent for booking. I told her that I can sympathize that it sucks when people cancel on your parties. It had even happened to me. I reminded her she missed my actual birthday because she booked a trip the same day. I told her that I felt it was unfair that she was exploding on me when she more or less did almost the same thing to me. I was cool with it at the time. It is not fair that she holds herself to a different standard than others. She then said that it was totally unfair of me to bring up a year-old example that was entirely different and that I always overreact. I told her that by shutting me down and telling me I am overreacting, this is a form of gaslighting and invalidating my feelings. Am I the asshole for canceling and bringing up a year-old event? Am I overreacting? Thank you for taking the time to read this. Almost 30 years old and the friend group is squabbling about birthday parties? They all need to grow up and realize there are bigger problems in the world. She's being hypocritical and illogical, but that's not the same as gaslighting. Quit entertaining the fight. Express feelings calmly or just move on. Am I the jerk for not giving my sibling anything to do during my wedding? This is frustrating for me because I'm second-guessing myself so much now. I am a 25-year-old female engaged to my wonderful fiancé Noah, who is 27 years old. Our wedding is a little smaller. My brother Jay, who is 28 years old, is my man of honor. Noah's sister, who is 23 years old, and brother, who is 26 years old, are his best people. I did not ask my sister Freya, who is 22 years old, to be a bridesmaid, and I have not figured out any role for her. This has resulted in some anger from our parents and accusations of me not treating her like a sister because she is adopted and not my biological sister like Jay is my biological brother. My parents started fostering Freya when she was 3.5 years old and adopted her officially when she was 6 years old. Our parents coddled her massively to make sure she did not feel different or like an outsider because Jay and I were their biological children and she was adopted. They spoiled her rotten and favored her over us. There were many times our parents scolded Jay and me for wanting equal treatment. They said Freya needed to be secure about her place in the family. The spoiling and coddling came out in her personality. She expects people to go out of their way to make her happy. She has this desperation to be included in everything but is very clingy. She is also childish in the way she expects her choices should be the priority in decision-making. She is especially demanding of Jay because he is meant to be the doting older brother and the one who chases boys away, offers to protect her, and make sure nobody messes with her. When she was 17, she had a breakup. A boy cheated on her, and she was hysterical at Jay because he did not come and make the boy's life hell. He did not make sure the guy stayed away from her after the breakup. She still brings it up today. She said that he did more when my high school ex started spreading nasty rumors about me than when her ex cheated. She brings it up around others in an effort to shame him. When it comes to stuff with me, she has always talked about the fact that I did not give her my jewelry box that our grandma bought for me when I was 12. Freya never liked that I got something like that, but she never did. She still expects me to give it to her just because she wants it, regardless of whether I want it or not. I am only inviting Freya and my parents because they are family, but I do not want her in my wedding. I do not want another chance for her to be the center of attention. I do not want to be left catering to her demands. Not including her has not sat well with her or my parents. They keep calling and asking why and how I could exclude her from such a big moment in my life, and they circle back to the fact that I care less for her because she is adopted. Am I the asshole? You did the right thing. It's up to you and the groom to decide who is invited to your wedding. Your parents shouldn't dictate who gets to be there. Also, make sure to have a plan for handling any potential drama, just in case. Hopefully it goes smoothly, but it's always good to be prepared. Am I the jerk for only taking in one of my siblings' children, but not the other? I have a problem that I'm not quite sure how to handle, so some insight and advice would definitely be appreciated. I am a 30-year-old female, and I am single by choice as I'm well aware of how much work goes into relationships. I don't want to be in a relationship just to be able to claim I am. I work from home doing freelance design work, as well as tutoring high school and college-level students. I make quite good money doing it. The problem is my sister, who is a 34-year-old female, has 2 children, A 12-year-old boy I'll call Jason and a 14-year-old girl I'll call Atamanta. Jason is on the autism spectrum, which I don't have a problem with at all. The issue is that mentally, doctors have warned he won't develop any further and hasn't since he was about 8 years old. He's prone to outbursts, both verbal and physical, and cannot handle any change in routine or patterns. Atamanta, unfortunately, has been frequently pushed to the side by my sister, who spends 90% of her time trying to keep Jason under control. Atamanta has the smallest of the rooms in that house and doesn't get out much aside from school or the times I find excuses to have her with me. I try to do so at least 3 to 4 times a month, and she'll stay with me for 2 days. We both really enjoy this as we have similar interests and hobbies, and she has her own room here at my house. Here's the problem. Jason has gotten to the point where it's often unsafe to be around him. His teachers, even with his individualized education program, IEP, cannot handle him, and neither can my sister or her husband since he spends most of his time working. It's now been addressed that Jason may have to be put into a center that can help him more than my sister can unless she can find other accommodations for more personal hands-on teaching that keeps him sequestered from other students he could lash out at. Child Protective Services, CPS, has gotten involved as well, and they've recommended that Atamanta also be removed from the home due to neglect and doubts about my sister and brother-in-law's ability to support her as well. CPS has reached out to me, as my sister's only living family, to see if I could take on both children given that I work from home and teach on the side, potentially allowing me to take over Jason's education. I can't do that. I've made it clear to my sister long ago that I knew I wasn't able to give that amount of care or mitigate Jason's outbursts even when he was a toddler. I can't now when he's much bigger and his outbursts have only gotten more violent. I can and did, however, take in Atamanta. My sister has called me screaming that I'm tearing her family apart because if I don't take Jason, not only will he be removed from my sister's and brother-in-law's care, but they won't have Atamanta either. I've talked to Atamanta, and she actually broke down crying and begged me not to send her back. Evidently, there was a lot happening in that house that I'm not aware of yet. The suggestion by my sister to take on Jason sent her into a full-blown panic attack. She does not want to be around him at all. I can't seem to get my sister to understand that it's not safe for Jason to be here with me or at home with her, but she's not listening. Any help would be appreciated as I'm lost on what to do. Do I try to take on Jason as well? Or do I just let him go to the living center, which is only 2 hours from here, and keep Atamanta with me? I'm the only family available as my brother-in-law aged out of the system and doesn't have any family either. Am I the asshole for only taking in Atamanta and not Jason as well? This post has been removed because it violates Rule 5, which prohibits any mention of violence in any context. Before attempting to resubmit, please review the rules and message the mods for approval. Resubmitting without approval, even if you believe the removal was an error, will lead to a ban with no exceptions. For alternative subs that might host this discussion, check out r.finderdit.id. Am I the jerk for not going to family dinners with my parent and their partner and their kids since I went to live with my other parent? My parents had me, a 15-year-old male, together. They weren't married or anything and broke up before I was born. So we were never a family unit, and I never really could see them being together. It's actually so weird to think about. For the most part, I had a really close relationship with both of my parents until I was about 10. My mom's ex from back then had broken up with her and blamed me, and my mom was upset I hadn't treated him like a new dad. She had this big talk with me about it being okay to have 2 daddies. This was after he'd said I emasculated him by rejecting him as a dad, and having my dad around also emasculated him. But he didn't live with us and never babysat me. Plus, my dad had equal custody of me, so I didn't need a new one. My mom started dating her boyfriend 3 years ago. He was new in town and had moved with his children who are way younger than me. They were dating for about a year when she introduced me to him, and then 2 weeks later, I met his children. Once we'd all met and spent time together a few times, they started calling us a family. We'd go for dinner once every 2 weeks all together. She tried to get my dad to give up 3 hours of his custody time every week so I could have a weekly dinner with them. Dad knew I didn't want to. He also didn't want to give up time with me, so he refused. My mom and her boyfriend were really upset with my dad afterward. He and his children started showing up to support me during dance showcases and stuff. I think that was supposed to annoy my dad or something. It didn't, but it did annoy me because of my mom's boyfriend's attitude. My mom and her boyfriend started insisting we do all these family outings together. It was crazy and intense. They didn't use me as a babysitter, but they did expect me to choose being with family over friends. I was supposed to not make plans with friends and keep all free time to spend with them. I hated it. My mom and I fought about it, and she even brought her boyfriend into the talk when I asked to speak to her alone. So I asked my dad if he could take us to court and let me ask the judge to choose where I live, and he did 5 months ago. I have only been to my mom's house once in 5 months, and it was because her boyfriend was out of town. My mom and her boyfriend keep asking me to come to these family dinners. I keep saying no. My mom has cried on the phone to me and cried harder when I said they are not my family dinners. She told me the other children love them, and I said because they are little. Her boyfriend, using my mom's phone, sent 30 texts back to back. They were a novel of how they thought I'd enjoy spending time with my siblings and would love being looked up to so much by younger children and would come for that. Then he said there's something wrong with me because I won't come. Am I the asshole? Honestly, your mom is making this so much harder and more uncomfortable than it needs to be. She's making it worse by forcing the issue instead of letting things happen naturally. Your mom's boyfriend is totally overstepping boundaries and even bullying you, which is unacceptable. Children should not be forced to engage with parents and their partners if they make them feel uncomfortable or unwanted. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.